Hey guys, welcome back to another snapshot video. Mojang is making good steady progress right now. Today we got the first snapshot that allows you to open your old worlds in the new snapshot. In case you want to keep playing your old world, I'd definitely recommend to wait a little bit longer, because the long-term plan is to have a smooth transition between the old and the new terrain. So in case you would update in this snapshot already, you would have a rough transition between the terrain and the biomes, and it could look quite odd. So I just generated part of this world here in 1.17, and what you can see over here is the 1.18 terrain, and it doesn't match at all, so it doesn't fit together. But Mojang is planning, as I said, to have a smooth transition in between. So yeah, even some weird stuff can happen, that some chunks got loaded before the chunks in front of them. Then here we got a ship that was part of the population that was added in between, so definitely some weird stuff can happen. So in case you're wondering what happens below the existing 1.17 terrain right now, it's gonna be filled with air here. You can definitely place blocks here to build whatever you want, but there might be another option as well. So the plan is to have a second option to either have it like this, or to have it filled with caves and the bedrock replaced with a minor block, probably deep slate. So in case you would not upgrade to 1.18, the plan right now, what I've heard, is to select between those two options. So both options will definitely have their benefits. From a technical player perspective, the option of just having air below is kind of interesting, because that means we have a lot of bedrock that would be accessible from below. This makes it feasible to have a wizard cage basically everywhere in the old terrain. So previously it was kind of hard to find a suitable location for an overworld bedrock cage, because you had to use the upper bedrock layers, which weren't quite as common. It was kind of hard to find a good location where you had a 3x3 of bedrock at the highest layer, for example. But now, since I got a complete layer here, you can just use that instead. We also got 4 new advancements in the game. So for the first one, you have to fall from the very top of the overworld. So Y 320 to the very bottom. So minus 60. You definitely have to dig away some blocks usually to achieve this. And there we go. We got the caves and cliffs advancement. So you don't have to fall to the very bottom of the world. So you don't need to remove bedrock. Here I was landing on the very bottom block. But it's also okay, I checked this, you would land here on top of the highest bedrock layer. When I placed the slime blocks 1 block higher, it didn't work anymore. So probably, just have blocks here and then water on top. This should work. We could also try it real quick. Remove the advancements, TP up again. So let's see. I guess placing some water on top of the highest bedrock should be enough. Yeah, it is. For the next one, you need to bring over a strider from the nether to the overworld. It's actually important, it wouldn't work in the nether. And need to ride it for a distance of 50 blocks on top of lava blocks. You'll probably have to place down some lava yourself to have a track that is long enough in order to get the feels like home advancement. Take a strider for a long ride on a lava lake in the overworld. The next advancement requires you to trade with a villager at build limit. An important part here is the player's position, not the villager's position. So you have to either stand on the highest possible block or 1 block lower, and then you can trade with a villager. The villager itself can be as far away as you can reach. So as you can see here, he's a bit lower, and if I buy a bow, you still got the star trader advancement. Trade with a villager at the build height limit. And the last one is quite straightforward. You need to play a music disc with a jukebox in a meadows biome. So there we go. We got the sound of music. There's one more change worth mentioning regarding the meadows biome. From now on, lone trees in a meadows biome, here we got an example, will have a guaranteed bee nest attached to it. Not entirely sure if it's worth it to search for a meadows biome in case you're looking for bees. I actually had to teleport to 10 different meadows biomes. I'm 35,000 blocks out now until I finally found an example. Next, you got a really convenient change. Did you ever have the issue that your status effects were conflicting with the crafting book? Well, this was changed. Now your status effects will be on the right side of your inventory instead of the left. So no more conflicts with the crafting book and the pop-up menu on the left side. The next change is interesting from a mob farming perspective, but it could also be interesting trivia for regular players. Zombies will no longer spawn in dripstone caves. So we can have a flight around here. We got a good example for dripstone caves. You will only find creepers, spiders of course, skeletons, occasional witch or enderman, but as you can see, no zombie to be found anywhere. There was another creeper, there we got creepers and skeletons. More creepers and skeletons over here. Yeah, those are the two mobs you will mostly find underground. Why is this change interesting for mob farming though? Well, you always had to deal with the zombies in your general overworld mob farm and yeah, the rotten flesh as a byproduct that you didn't really need. Well, technically you could still trade rotten flesh with clerics, but getting your emeralds this way can be considered a waste of time. And you could also heal your dogs with rotten flesh, but yeah, this is not really viable in case you get 10,000s of rotten flesh. So you didn't really want any zombie spawning in your mob farm. So technically, you could build your overworld mob farm in a dripstone cave biome. Of course, in most cases, this would require making perimeter and would be a lot more effort. But this would be technically the perfect spot for a general overworld mob farm, because in case you also prevent the spider spawning, you could limit the mobs that spawn basically to creepers, skeletons, and witches. You wouldn't get any zombies anymore. Previously, people already built their mob farms usually in the desert biome, because there you mostly got husk spawning and only a small percentage of zombies and zombie villagers, and therefore a higher percentage of useful drops. But technically, this would now be the perfect biome for an overworld mob farm. But that's not the only change regarding hostile mobs spawning in the dripstone cave biome. Drowned mobs from now on will spawn instead of the zombies in this type of biome. But the drowned spawning is quite rare because there's a lack of available spawning spaces. You need too high water, and if you have a look around, there's really not a lot of available spawning spaces. Here on the side, okay, they could spawn here in the flowing water. There's a couple of those. But where it's a bit more common would be an aquifer in a dripstone cave biome. And here we actually got one. So here, drowned mob spawned in a dripstone cave biome, but it's still quite rare. Now, of course, the question for mob farming is this a better place for drowned spawning than a river biome? And in order to find that out, I created two test worlds. So the problem with most drowned spawning-based copper farms was that the drowned spawning was rather slow, and you needed a ton of spawning spaces. Usually, you could definitely benefit from a biome where the drowns would spawn a bit quicker. So here we got a river biome world, so everything is just a river biome, and I did run a 5-minute test. So I teleported all the drowns that would spawn in this 50 by 50 by 2 area, basically at the bottom of the world, to this killing chamber over here, and counted how much rotten flesh we got. So in 5 minutes, I got almost 5 stacks of rotten flesh. So I just had this command block running here. Okay, let's compare this with the dripstone caves biome. Okay, so here we have an identical setup. Let's turn on mob spawning. It's kind of hard to really spot a difference by just looking at it. It's slightly faster, so spoilers. So let's check out the results of the 5-minute test here. Here we got 8.5 stacks of rotten flesh. So there's definitely a point building your drowned farm in a dripstone caves biome. In case you're looking for the perfect spot for your drowned farm, things might get very technical. So you have the slight advantage of faster mob spawning in the dripstone caves biome, but the problem might be that the dripstone caves biome usually doesn't extend all the way down to the bottom of the world, which can happen with river biomes though. So here we got a good example of a river biome. If you check here, the biome on the left, it extends all the way down to the bottom of the world. So up to -64, we got, river biome. This is not always the case. So if there is a cave below the river biome, then the river biome also stops and doesn't extend further down. But I was also wondering if the dripstone cave biome can, extend all the way down to the bottom of the world, because obviously, because of the mob spawning algorithm, this would be beneficial to build it as slow as possible. And that's usually not the case. So here, we got dripstone cave biome and even a river below that. So the lowest I actually found the dripstone caves was usually around -60. Okay. So, but this is very technical and only interesting in case you're interested in the perfect mob farm. And one more smaller change, the buried treasure chests have a chance to contain a potion of water breathing from now on, but I don't think this will change the meta of the game much. Alright, that's all for today. Thanks guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.